Hi. So today I wanted to talk about one of the biggest mistakes you can make when it comes to investing. And interestingly, that's not choosing the wrong investment. Obviously, that's not a great thing, and losing money isn't a great thing. But actually, one of the worst things you can do, and it's understandable why this happens, is to actually do nothing. So I'm going to use a personal example to make the point. Fortunately, or through unfortunate circumstances, a number of years ago, I was left an inheritance, a significant amount of money, £250,000. So when I received that, I was, quite frankly, I didn't know what to do with the money. Whilst, I knew that investing was the best thing to do, probably the right thing to do. When you have that amount of money left to you in an inheritance, you want to do the right thing with it. There's an immediate concern of, well, I know I should be investing it, but if I invest it, what happens if I lose it? And you feel you still have, although it's now your money, you still feel you have an obligation to do the right thing by the people, the family members who left that to you. So I found myself in a situation where I had a big amount of money, and ultimately, what I did was I left it in a bank account for 3 years. And I thought I would revisit that now that I know a bit more about investing, and really try and illustrate what the impact of that, what is actually a very poor decision, was. And the upshot was that that decision to leave the money in a bank account for all the right reasons, in terms of not wanting to lose the money, unsure where to invest it, an element of paralysis analysis, if for want of a better phrase, it cost me about £95,000. So I just wanted to talk you through how I got to that figure, and really use it as an example of why doing nothing, sometimes for the right reasons, like I said, because you're concerned and you don't want to make a mistake, is actually significantly detrimental to your wealth generation, and actually making your money work for you. So in my case, as I said, I was left £250,000. Clearly, very fortunate through unfortunate circumstances. It's not the kind of money that people generally get. So I'm aware it's a significant amount of money, but I thought actually it would prove as a really good example, given the nature of the figures, as the impact of not making, well, not even not the right decision, doing nothing with your money, how that can impact you. So as I said, I think that cost me, over a 3-year period before I actually invested the money, about £95,000. So if you think about the 3-year period in which I had that amount of money, it sat in a bank account. At the time, interest rates were very low, so it earned next to no money at all, especially where it was kept. I think because I had the money abroad, it was actually earning no interest at all. So it's actually costing me money because there was a fee with the bank account. So during that time, if we look at, let's say, an index fund like the S&P 500, during those 3 years, the S&P 500 went up 32%. Now, 32% on a sum of £250,000 equates to about £80,500. So that's the first amount of money I theoretically lost by doing nothing, by deciding to leave my money in the bank. As I said, for a number of reasons, and probably the right reason at the time, I was concerned about making a mistake, not wanting to lose the money, etc., etc. But that decision cost me. But that's only one part of the equation, as it were. So we've got the notional amount of money we haven't made because we didn't invest the lump sum. But then by also leaving it sat in a bank account, earning no interest and doing nothing, the value of that money is also being eaten away by inflation. So again, over that 3-year period, inflation in the UK was about 6%. So the 6% over that period on that sum of money meant the buying power of that £250,000 actually reduced by about £15,000. It's actually just slightly under, it's 14,500 pounds. So you can see, not only did we lose out on or did I lose out on the investment gains, I also lost out on the buying power of that money. So that £250,000, sorry, at the beginning of that 3-year period did not have as much buying power at the end of that 3-year period. So we've ended up with the loss of investment gains missed out on, so the £80,500, and then we've also missed out on the buying power, or the loss of the buying power, which is about £14,500. So in totality, that decision to not do anything with that £250,000 cost me, theoretically, just under £95,000. So I realise we're talking about a significant sum of money, and I don't want this to come across like I'm complaining that I've lost out on some money. That's not the point at all, and I understand that the figures we're talking about are unrealistic for many. The reason I'm talking about it is because whether we're talking about £10,000, £250,000 or whatever, the principles still remain the same. If you have an amount of money and you do nothing with it, and you leave it in your bank account, but you could be investing it, I'm just using this as an example of what you forego by not making that decision to invest. And I think what this also does is it leads us on to considering how we might be able to deal with that type of scenario where you have, let's say, a lump sum of money, and you, for whatever reason, you're not sure about investing it all at once. So this is where we could look at something like lump sum investing versus pound cost averaging or dollar cost averaging. So if we go back to my situation, I had that significant amount of money and I kind of froze, if I'm honest. A paralysis analysis, or whatever the phrase is. Lots of options where to invest, not entirely sure how to do it, really concerned about making a mistake and losing the money. However, if I take a step back now, I should have thought, well, what's my time horizon? What's my investment horizon? And it's decades. So even if I had invested the money and the market had seen a significant fall, as long as I didn't take the money out, then it would have been fine, because as we know, over the long term, the stock market does tend to increase. Anyway, back to lump sum versus pound cost or dollar cost averaging in the US. So if I had to rerun that situation now, what I would do now is I would actually lump sum, because again, my time horizon means that I'm not concerned if there's an issue in the stock market in terms of it dropping. However, it's a very psychological thing, and I completely understand why some people might not want to do that. So looking at a pound cost averaging approach may be the absolute best thing to do. So in that scenario, what you might do is you say, well, if I've got a significant lump sum of money, but I don't want to invest it all at once, you could give yourself, let's say, a 6-month period or a 12-month period, or even longer if it makes you feel comfortable, of where you go, right, I've got my lump sum, I'm going to invest it over the period of time I've defined, and I'll invest it on a monthly basis, I'll automate the process, and therefore I get my money into the market. Now, optimally, lump sum investing, the research, the data suggests that's the way to go because you make the most returns. But that might not be the right decision for you, and that's perfectly fine. The right decision is the one that you feel comfortable with. As long as you're making that decision to invest, if that's indeed what you want to do, then how you get your money into the market is entirely up to you. So again, lump sum investing, put it all at once. If the market reduces, as long as you're not taking out, it's not going to impact you if your time horizon is significant. If you feel more comfortable about doing it over a period of time, think about pound or dollar cost averaging. So pick your time horizon and get your money into the market on an incremental basis over that period of time. I want to close with just a fun fact, which again really highlights again the importance of getting your money into the market, the impact of compounding and time on investments. So let's say I had invested that money and the theoretical loss we've been talking about which I know it accounts for inflation, but let's say that £95,000 was the figure. Now, had I had that money, so that additional amount of money I theoretically lost out on, had that remained in the market from that period of time I've discussed to present day, that £95,000, in addition to my 250,000, but that £95,000 alone would have turned into £270,000. So you can see that that initial decision to not invest for that period of time, leave it in a pretty much zero bearing interest rate bank account, has cost me a significant amount of missed opportunity in terms of investment returns. Again, I'm not complaining at all. I know we're talking about a significant sum of money, so I hope it comes across as a genuine live example of how a decision I made for the right reasons has cost me some returns, but hopefully it shows that by making that decision to get yourself into the market, you can do a lot and get significant returns with your money. I hope that's been useful, and again, I hope it's come across as me trying to use just a real life example, irrespective of the amounts I'm talking about. That was my scenario. I appreciate I was very fortunate from an unfortunate circumstance, but hopefully that gets across really how important decisions are around investing, first and foremost. That probably one of the worst things you can do is make no decision or not get your money into the market. And I think it really highlights the value of the time in the market, the impact of compounding on your investment. Hopefully you found this useful. If you did, please give a like if you think you can, or if you want to hear more of this kind of content, then please consider subscribing. Many thanks. Bye.